Hi, and welcome to this presentation on authentic individual assessment for team-based software engineering projects. My name is Jean-Guy Schneider, and I'm presenting joint work with my colleagues Laura Tobino, Andrew Kane, Dhananjay Tiruvari, and Hiroshini Fernando from the School of Information Technology at Deakin University in Australia. The context of our work is in capstone projects. And as many listeners will probably know, capstone projects have a number of challenges. What we want to talk about particularly in this presentation are challenges around assessment, and particularly how can we make assessment in a team-based environment equitable? That is, every student gets an outcome that is directly proportional to the amount of work they've done, and they cannot actually rely on other students to do work and get credit for that. In our paper, we've surveyed a lot of literature where others have come up with different ideas how this problem can be addressed. The way we are tackling that problem is to focus on individual assessment and having students demonstrate their contributions to a project. After some review of the literature and also reflecting on our prior experience, we came up with three broad categories where we think students in a software engineering team-based environment should be assessed on. We classify those as basic, core, and advanced. The basic criteria predominantly deal with compliance. That is, we want students to behave in a professional way in such a team-based environment, that they're accountable for what they're doing or possibly not doing, that they attend when they're expected to attend, and they're also engaged with the project at a satisfactory level. The second category, titled Enacting, deals with a mix of soft skills and information technology skills. So students will have to demonstrate their communication and teamwork skills, follow a given process, work on a number of product deliverables, and demonstrate information technology skills while doing so. The last category that we titled Adaptability focuses on more advanced concepts such as self-awareness. So how do students see themselves in a project context, project management, and mentoring? From a different perspective, we try to identify certain types of students that we can expect to see in a team-based environment and created corresponding personas. For the purpose of this presentation, I've given 4 different personas, but this is not limited to 4 personas only, depending on the context an educational institution is operating in. 4 personas for us reflect grade categories that we're using in an Australian higher education setting, and they have been described in that context. So we have Fred Flintstone, a student that couldn't really care less, doesn't really do any work, and consequently is likely to fail the team-based unit. We've got Peter Pan, that given some work will complete that work. He may need some guidance along the way, but is generally able to complete the work allocated at an acceptable standard. However, a student like Peter Pan will not seek work, will not engage further with the project unit, and will not take on any leadership roles. Carnoustie Cat, on the other hand, is a student that will go further than what Peter Pan does. The cat will perform, or the student in that role will perform their expected duties in the project, but will also take on some leadership responsibilities, will help others out, and will see how they can drive the project forward. Daffy Duck, at the other end of the spectrum, can not only see himself in the context of the project, can also see how others fit into the big picture, can allocate work can drive the project forward and can assist others to become better team players. We've made an explicit decision to include a fail persona into our list so that students can see that if they were to demonstrate the criteria of a failed student, that they're likely to fail the unit. Now we can combine our personas at the top and our 12 assessment dimensions at the left-hand side into a grade matrix, where for each persona and each of the grade categories, we can define a certain expectation of how students should operate. Now, these descriptors will become increasingly higher level when we're moving from the left to the right of a matrix. These descriptors are also intended to be written up in such a way that if a student demonstrates achievement of a descriptor at a particular level, by implication, they will also demonstrate the achievements of all levels below that. Now, we want students also to target excellence, and as a consequence, we've added an extra persona, Elastigirl, and she will be stretched to demonstrate excellence. And our idea is excellence should really demonstrate a level of achievement that not all students will be able to do. We also think in compliance, you can't really demonstrate excellence. You can only do that in the basic and advanced areas. We also further assume that you do not have to demonstrate excellence across all 8 basic and advanced areas. 1 or 2 will be sufficient. And that will give students guidance to focus on 1 or 2 areas where they can demonstrate excellence and do not have to do that across the board. The other thing to note is a student can only achieve a particular grade if they demonstrate achievement of all 12 categories at that particular grade level or above. If students do not demonstrate those dimensions and have areas where they operate below that level, they cannot get that particular grade. Now, how is this put into operation? So during regular checkpoints throughout the teaching period, students tell us how they progress with regards to their achievements. They get feedback and guidance on what they should improve, and they will only be assessed at the end of the trimester when they're submitting a learning portfolio. This explicitly allows students to try things out, make mistakes throughout the trimester. As long as they learn from those mistakes and address them, they can achieve good outcomes at the end. Some students initially struggled to understand that, but with some additional guidance, many students actually understand how this is to be done and how can they demonstrate evidence of achievements at the end of a teaching period. Now, a lot of the nitty-gritty details, how we went about doing that, and descriptions of all the grade descriptors can be seen in the paper. So I encourage everybody to have a look. Thank you very much for paying attention to this presentation, and I'm more than happy to answer questions. Thank you very much.